In the hush of twilight, the world holds its breath. Marble columns rise against the fading light, silent keepers of old tales. Whispers drift through the wind, carrying voices from a time beyond memory. At the heart of these stories stands Athena, goddess of wisdom and victory. She is more than myth, more than stone carved in ancient sanctuaries. She is the echo of clarity, the guardian of reason, the guide in hidden paths. Where chaos threatens, she brings order. Where fear blinds, she brings vision. Athena does not march with swords, nor does she shout for power. Her strength lies in calm, her victory in the light of understanding. Legends tell of her olive tree, roots deep in soil, branches stretching to the sky. A gift not of war, but of peace, resilience, and everlasting growth. Each leaf whispers of her eternal promise. Each shadow holds her quiet watch. She is the flame that never fades, the voice that never falls silent. And as we begin this journey, her presence surrounds us. Let us walk together into her timeless realm, where wisdom reigns eternal. Before time was measured, the sky and earth whispered secrets of beginnings. From those whispers came storms of thought, waves of power seeking form. The gods watched in awe as mystery unfolded in ways unseen before. Zeus, king of the sky, felt a great burden press upon his mind. It was not the weight of thunder, nor the pull of storms. It was something greater, something hidden, something yet unnamed. He closed his eyes, and within him stirred a light beyond fire. That light swelled, a force that could not be contained. The heavens trembled, the earth held its breath in silence. Then, with a brilliance that split the dawn, she appeared. Athena, radiant, fully formed, clad in wisdom and calm. No cry of battle, no chaos of war followed her. Instead, her first breath carried peace. Her first gaze held clarity. The gods marveled at her arrival, their voices hushed in reverence. She stood not as child, but as sovereign, wise from the first. Her presence was balance, her spirit a quiet strength unshaken. The world seemed to steady, as if waiting for her guidance. Her birth was not of pain, but of revelation. Wisdom itself had taken form, eternal, unyielding, unbroken. From the high clouds to the deepest roots, her essence spread. Athena was not simply born, she was revealed. A mirror of thought, a flame of vision, a beacon of reason. Where there was confusion, she brought clarity. Where there was doubt, she brought assurance. Where there was fear, she brought calm. The gods named her the daughter of Zeus, yet more than daughter. She was his equal in foresight, his partner in divine counsel. The sky brightened, the air cleared. Harmony filled the cosmos. Even the stars seemed to realign, forming patterns of her name. The earth answered with blossoms, rivers sang in silver tones. From the beginning, Athena carried no weapon forged in anger. Her weapon was her mind, her shield the truth unbroken. She was strength without cruelty, wisdom without pride, victory without loss. She stood upon Olympus, and all bowed to her quiet light. The other gods looked to her for counsel, for calm direction. She spoke little, yet her silence carried more than thunder. Her eyes shone with knowledge that reached beyond mortal grasp. Her smile hinted at mysteries hidden in the folds of time. Thus began the story of Athena, the eternal victory goddess, not born of pain, but born of wisdom everlasting, not bound to war, but bound to peace, clarity, and light. Her birth was not an end, but a beginning, a promise that wisdom would forever walk beside humankind. And from that moment, Athena's journey began, eternal and divine. Long ago, when the world was still shaping its cities, a choice was made. a land of beauty stretched by the sea, rich in hills and shining waters. The people there sought a guardian, a divine presence to guide them. Two mighty gods heard their call, each desiring to claim the land. Poseidon, lord of the sea, rose with waves that touched the sky. Athena, goddess of wisdom, stood with calm eyes upon the earth. The people watched in awe as the gods prepared their gifts. Poseidon struck the ground, and a spring of salt water burst forth. The water sparkled, but its taste carried the bitterness of the sea. He declared it a symbol of power, of command over oceans vast. The crowd admired, yet their hearts carried quiet hesitation. Then Athena stepped forward, silent yet steady, her presence serene. She touched the soil gently, and from it grew an olive tree, its trunk strong, its branches wide, its leaves silver in the light. The people gasped, for it was life itself, a gift of endurance. The olive tree promised food, warmth, and shelter for generations. It spoke of peace, trade, and a bond with the earth. Poseidon's spring raged with power, but Athena's tree whispered of hope. The people saw not only survival, but harmony in her gift. They turned to Athena, their voices rising in gratitude and trust. Poseidon frowned, his pride shaken, yet the choice was made. The city would honor the goddess who offered life and wisdom. And so, the name was given: Athens, city of Athena. The olive tree became its heart, symbol of growth and peace. Its roots ran deep, binding the people to the goddess eternal. Athena smiled, not with triumph, but with quiet satisfaction. For her victory was not conquest, but acceptance, unity, and vision. She walked among the people unseen, guiding their hands and thoughts. Temples rose, markets thrived, and art blossomed under her gaze. The olive branches spread across lands, carried by traders and dreamers. They brought not just fruit, but the memory of her gift. Every leaf whispered of the day. Wisdom triumphed over force. Every harvest reminded them that true power feeds, not destroys. Athena's choice had shaped more than a city. It shaped an age. She became the soul of Athens, eternal guardian of its people. And the olive tree stood, centuries long, a living promise of peace. Even as wars passed and empires shifted, the tree remained. Its shadow carried stories, its roots held faith unbroken. Thus the tale of the contest was told for generations, not as a battle, but as a lesson. Power fades, but wisdom endures. Strength divides, but peace unites. Athena gave more than a tree. She gave a way of life. And through Athens, her light would shine across the world eternal. There was a time when fear spread like a shadow across the world. Mortals prayed for safety, gods whispered of balance, and hope seemed fragile. Amid this silence, Athena carried a gift unlike any other. It was not a weapon forged in anger, nor a crown of pride. It was the aegis, a shield of divine power, radiant and eternal. Legends say it shimmered like the sky at dawn, edged with lightning's glow. Its surface bore symbols that stirred both awe and quiet reverence. Mortals spoke of it as unbreakable, yet it was more than steel. The aegis was not meant to strike, but to protect, to guard. When Athena lifted it, storms calmed and courage returned to the lost. Heroes found strength in its glow, armies found peace in its presence. It was a promise that wisdom would always shield the righteous. The gods themselves respected its light, for it carried divine authority. It reminded them that true power rests not in attack, but in care. Athena never used it to frighten, but to steady, to reassure. Its sound was silence, its song was calm, its power was peace. Where the aegis shone, despair melted like mist before the morning sun. Mortals carved its image on temples, walls, and shields of their own. They believed even a fragment of its spirit would keep them safe. For in their hearts, the aegis was more than a relic of gods. It was the touch of Athena, guardian of wisdom and protector of life. She carried it with dignity, never boastful, never cruel, always just. When darkness grew heavy, she raised it high, and the way cleared. When leaders doubted, she showed them courage reflected in its glow. It was said even monsters faltered, not from fear, but from awe. For they too recognized its light, a mirror of eternal truth. The aegis became her companion, a living symbol of divine guardianship. Not a shield of war, but a shield of balance and harmony. Athena stood behind it, her gaze calm, her spirit unshaken. She reminded mortals that true safety is born from wisdom within. The aegis taught them that protection is not the absence of fear. It is the courage to face fear, knowing wisdom stands beside you. Every story of Athena carries whispers of this shield eternal. Every prayer to her calls upon the quiet light of the aegis. It was not forged by fire, but by the will of the gods. It was not bound by hands, but by the heart of Athena herself. And so the world remembered it, not as a weapon of might, but as a promise that wisdom will always guard what is just. The aegis endures, a shield not of conquest, but of eternal peace. And in its light, the goddess shines, forever watching, forever guiding. In the heart of Olympus, gods often argued of strength, of force, of sheer might. But Athena, calm and steady, reminded them of another power, the power of foresight, of strategy, of shaping victory before battle began. She was the goddess who saw paths where others saw only walls. Her eyes read the patterns of fate like a weaver's careful threads. Where chaos threatened to blind, Athena revealed the hidden order within. Mortals came to her not for weapons, but for guidance of mind. Kings prayed not for storms of war, but for her steady counsel. She whispered of patience, of preparation, of knowing when to act. For Athena taught that victory was born not of chance, but of clarity. She guided heroes to pause, to think, to measure every step. Their triumphs were not accidents, but the fruit of wisdom sown early. Athena's presence was felt in war rooms lit by flickering torches. Maps spread across wooden tables bore the touch of her reason. Leaders traced her guidance with trembling fingers, their doubts turning to resolve. She did not shout commands. She placed quiet thoughts in mortal minds. The silence of her wisdom outweighed the noise of countless armies. Her strategy was not to conquer, but to endure, to protect. Every plan she shaped carried the seed of peace within it. Even in conflict, she taught restraint, balance, and measured strength. For Athena knew that unbridled power collapses under its own weight. But wisdom, steady and calm, builds victories that last for ages. She walked beside Odysseus, guiding him through trials of cunning. Not by force, but by wit, he found his way home again. She watched over Perseus, steadying his hand and sharpening his mind. She taught that even the bravest must first learn to see clearly. Athena's strategy was more than tactics. It was a way of being. It asked for patience, discipline, and the courage to wait for the moment. It was the art of victory without waste, triumph without destruction. Mortals admired warriors, but they revered the mind that shaped them. They carved her image in temples, not as a fighter, but as a guide. Her shield rested, her spear silent, while her wisdom spoke louder. Athena became the spirit of thoughtful victory, calm and eternal. The goddess who planned, who foresaw, who built strength in silence. Her lessons carried beyond the battlefield, into homes and marketplaces. Farmers tilled wisely, builders raised cities with her clarity in mind. She was the unseen architect of harmony, laying foundations for ages. Athena proved that true power is not the strike of the sword. It is the quiet hand that moves before the storm arrives. It is the wisdom that shapes tomorrow before tomorrow is born. And so she remains the goddess of strategy, eternal and unbroken, the mind that guards, the vision that leads, the light that endures. When the battles of gods and men grew silent, another gift of Athena emerged. She was not only the guardian of warriors, but also the patron of creators. Her wisdom stretched beyond strategy into the art of shaping beauty and order. She blessed the loom, where threads of many colors formed stories of the world. Weaving was more than craft. It was a mirror of destiny and time. Every line told a tale. Every pattern whispered of balance and truth. Athena taught mortals that creation itself was a sacred act of power. She showed them that to build is greater than to destroy. In workshops filled with dust and flame, her presence lingered unseen. Blacksmiths hammered with rhythm, guided by thoughts not their own. Sculptors carved marble, each strike revealing life hidden in stone. Potters shaped clay, their hands steady, their visions clear as water. It was Athena who guided their fingers, who breathed skill into their work. Under her blessing, simple tools became instruments of timeless beauty. Athena's love for craft was not vanity, but devotion to harmony. She believed that human hands, like human minds, must learn creation, that every crafted object carried a fragment of divine thought within it. Legends say she herself wove garments shimmering with the colors of dawn. They spoke not of wealth, but of the unity between gods and mortals. Every thread, every fiber carried her touch, a bond of wisdom eternal. Mortals honored her by weaving not just for need, but for meaning. Tales were stitched into fabric, stories of love, loss, and triumph. Children grew wrapped in cloth that whispered protection from the goddess. Athena also nurtured music, poetry, and the delicate art of words. Her spirit moved in songs sung under olive trees at night. Her presence was felt in verses recited in halls of marble. She showed that art was more than beauty. It was memory, legacy, voice. Through art, mortals could speak to time, to gods, to eternity itself. Her lessons spread far beyond Athens, carried by travelers and traders. Every city touched by her name bore witness to her gentle guidance. Markets bloomed with colors, temples sang with carved pillars, homes glowed with craft. Athena walked unseen through every workshop, blessing labor with quiet pride. Yet she also warned of arrogance, of creation born of prideful hearts. She taught humility, reminding mortals that skill is a gift, not a weapon. For artistry, like wisdom, must serve harmony, not vanity. Thus, Athena's patronage shaped more than tools, more than art. It shaped culture, identity, and the spirit of a people. Athens shone not only in strength, but in beauty and craft. Her temples glistened, her city thrived, her people dreamed boldly. And in every woven cloth, every carved stone, her essence lived. Athena, the goddess of wisdom, was also the eternal muse of creation. She proved that true greatness is not only to win, but to make, to leave behind not scars, but songs, patterns, and everlasting light. Athena's wisdom was not bound to marble halls or woven cloth. Her voice traveled where mortals gathered, shaping justice and guiding law. For she was not only the goddess of creation, but also of fair judgment. She believed that true victory was not conquest, but harmony among people. In the early days of Athens, disputes often grew fierce and unsettled. Families clashed over land, merchants quarreled over trade, neighbors fought over honor. Chaos threatened to unravel the fragile bonds of the young city. Athena stepped forth not with shield or spear, but with the weight of truth. She inspired the birth of councils, places where voices could be heard. Men and women gathered not to shout, but to reason, guided by her spirit. She taught them that listening was as noble as speaking, that justice was not vengeance, but the balance between heart and mind. Under her influence, Athens began to shape its first laws. No longer would strength alone decide the fate of the weak. No longer would wealth silence the voice of the poor. Athena whispered to leaders that fairness was the true measure of greatness. Her wisdom planted seeds of democracy, though fragile and young. It was not yet the full vision of freedom, but the beginning of it. The people learned to value words over weapons, ideas over anger. Athena's olive tree stood as a symbol in the heart of the city. Its roots spoke of endurance, its branches of unity, its fruit of peace. Beneath its shade, arguments cooled and hearts softened. The tree reminded them that strength must serve, not dominate. Athena also taught that mercy was not weakness, but the highest form of wisdom, that to forgive was sometimes greater than to punish. Her lessons wove themselves into the fabric of daily life. Parents taught children not only courage, but fairness and respect. Merchants learned that trust was more valuable than gold. Leaders discovered that power without justice was nothing but shadow. And so, Athens grew not just in beauty, but in virtue. Its people held their goddess close, honoring her with words of gratitude. They built temples not only of stone, but of living memory. Every courtroom, every council, every gathering carried her unseen presence. Athena had given them more than wisdom. She had given them the tools to live together without fear. The olive tree stood tall, its leaves whispering her eternal promise, that where wisdom rules, there will always be peace. And so, the city thrived under her watchful guidance. Athena, goddess of wisdom and victory, became also the guardian of justice. Her eternal victory was not won by force, but by fairness. And in her light, Athens began to shine like no city before it. In the heart of Athens, beneath skies painted with dawn, Athena's wisdom spread like golden light. She was not only the goddess of law and craft, but the guide of scholars and seekers. Knowledge, she taught, was a flame that must be passed from hand to hand. Without it, cities dimmed, but with it, they burned bright with life. So she blessed the first schools, quiet courtyards filled with curious voices. Children gathered under the shade of olive trees, listening to words that shaped their minds. Philosophers rose, their thoughts daring to reach the heavens themselves. They asked questions that echoed through time. What is truth? What is virtue? Athena was their unseen teacher, the whisper in the silence between words. She urged them to doubt not in despair, but in pursuit of clarity. Her presence filled scrolls of knowledge, inked with wisdom that survived the ages. Each library was a temple, each book a vessel of her eternal light. She showed that wisdom was not to be hoarded, but shared. That a city's strength lay not in walls, but in the minds within them. And so Athens became a beacon, its light reaching far beyond its shores. Travelers from distant lands carried her spirit with them. They spoke of her scholars, her poets, her thinkers, her dreamers. Through their voices, her wisdom crossed seas and climbed mountains. Athena's victory was not in silence, but in dialogue, not in conquest, but in conversation that shaped hearts and futures. She reminded mortals that wisdom was not just knowing, but living truth. that every choice, small or great, carried the weight of destiny. The olive tree in the city center stood as more than symbol. It became a gathering place for words, debates, and discoveries. Children played in its shade, but also grew into seekers there. Its roots anchored memory, its branches lifted thought toward the sky. Athena's touch made knowledge eternal, beyond the fleeting of years. She was present in every question asked, in every answer sought. Her blessing made curiosity sacred, a force stronger than any weapon. And yet, she warned against pride, the shadow of knowledge. She taught that wisdom without humility would become a chain, not a gift. True learning was endless, she said, a river that never sleeps. Her disciples listened, their hearts open, their minds ready. From these seeds, philosophy was born, carried like flame to the world. Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, each in their own way touched by her light. Their words still echo, centuries later, across time and distance. Athena's eternal gift was not answers, but the courage to seek them. She showed mortals that wisdom is the greatest victory of all, not the crown of kings, nor the might of armies, but the light within. And as long as questions live, her presence will never fade. Athena, the eternal goddess, remains the flame of knowledge, unending. The light of Athena did not fade with the rising of empires or the fall of kings. Her spirit moved beyond marble and myth, shaping hearts in unexpected ways. For she was not only goddess of wisdom, but the guardian of hope itself. Where despair threatened to swallow mortals, Athena whispered courage into silence. She taught that true strength was not the absence of fear, but the will to endure. Her lessons reached the weary farmer sowing seeds in barren soil. She reminded him that every harvest begins with patience and faith. Her voice touched the sailor who braved storms on uncharted seas. She taught him to trust the stars, steady as wisdom guiding the lost. Athena was with the mother, cradling her child through nights of uncertainty. She whispered that love, steady and selfless, was its own kind of victory. The goddess walked unseen in streets where strangers crossed paths. She taught kindness as a form of wisdom, compassion as quiet strength. In her silence, mortals discovered that hope was the greatest gift of all. For without it, even wisdom is only shadow. Her olive tree stood as a testament, evergreen in every season. Its leaves shimmered with promise, whispering of resilience against passing storms. Its fruit fed the hungry, its wood warmed the cold. Its shade gave peace. The tree was not merely a symbol, but a living promise of renewal. Generations gathered beneath it, speaking dreams aloud to the goddess. Athena listened not only to kings, but to every humble voice that called. Her fairness embraced all, from the poorest to the powerful. She showed that every soul, no matter how small, had worth. And so, Athens thrived not just in wisdom, but in spirit. Its people carried within them a quiet fire that would not be extinguished. Athena's eternal victory was not carved in stone or written in law. It was lived daily, in the choices of mortals who chose light over shadow. Her stories traveled across time, retold in whispers, in songs, in prayers. Wherever her name was spoken, a spark of courage was kindled. Athena became more than goddess. She became eternal companion of humankind, a guiding presence for those lost in darkness, a beacon on the path ahead. She was the voice that said, "Rise again, for the dawn always returns." Even as centuries shifted, her essence endured like stars above. Philosophers, dreamers, builders, wanderers, all found her within their hearts. Her victory was not once, but always. Not for one, but for all. For as long as wisdom is sought and hope is cherished, she reigns. The goddess of wisdom is also the eternal goddess of hope. And in her, mortals found not only guidance, but the courage to believe. Athena's light did not end in Athens. It spread, carried by hearts across lands and generations. Her eternal victory lives wherever wisdom and hope walk hand in hand. In the stillness of night, when cities slept and stars lit the heavens, Athena's watch remained. She was not bound by temples, nor confined to marble shrines of worship. Her essence flowed wherever thought, courage, and kindness were alive. Mortals felt her in dreams, in choices made, in quiet strength unspoken. She was the silent companion of rulers seeking fairness above ambition. She was the unseen ally of wanderers, finding roads where none existed. Athena was the goddess who listened without judgment and guided without chains. Her victory was not thunderous. It was patient, steady, eternal. She stood with artists who painted truth in colors beyond words. She blessed poets whose verses carved memory into the heart of time. She walked with builders who shaped temples not only of stone, but of spirit. Athena's wisdom whispered that greatness was not measured in crowns or gold. It was measured in the legacy of compassion, justice, and knowledge. Her olive tree became more than a symbol of peace. It was a covenant, a promise that as long as its roots held, wisdom would endure. Generations touched its bark, leaving prayers, dreams, and secrets. And the goddess, though unseen, answered with strength in their hearts. Even when wars came and empires rose and fell, her light endured. For no conqueror could silence wisdom, no tyrant could destroy hope. Athena lived in the spirit of those who chose truth over lies, in the laughter of children who grew in freedom under olive branches, in the voices of teachers who passed knowledge like a sacred flame. Her eternal victory was not a single moment, but countless small triumphs. Each time mercy was chosen over cruelty, her name was honored. Each time truth was spoken against fear, her presence was near. Each time love triumphed over despair, her light grew stronger. She was eternal not because of power, but because of presence. Athena's gift was to remain within mortal lives as quiet guidance, never demanding worship, but always inspiring growth. The city of Athens carried her name, but her spirit belonged to all. Every land that valued wisdom and justice became her sanctuary. Every heart that sought fairness became her temple. Every soul that dared to learn became her disciple. Thus, the eternal goddess transcended borders, faiths, and centuries. She became a flame no wind could extinguish, a voice no silence could bury. Athena proved that immortality was not in body, but in truth lived, not in marble statues, but in the choices of those who remember. And so, even now, her presence lingers in the world unseen, in libraries, in courts, in schools, in quiet acts of kindness. Her olive branches still stretch toward the sky, whispering her promise that wisdom will never fade and justice will always rise. Athena's eternal victory is alive wherever light outshines darkness, and her story, like her spirit, has no end. In the golden quiet of dawn, when the first rays touched the earth, Athena's presence stirred unseen. The world turned, seasons shifted, yet her essence remained constant, like a silent river flowing through time. Her wisdom was not carved in stone, but alive in whispers of courage carried from one heart to another. Each age reimagined her, yet she was always the same spirit guiding minds toward justice and truth. Athena did not walk in battlefields, but in classrooms, councils, and homes where choices shaped the future. She lived in the steady hands of healers who chose compassion over indifference, light over neglect. She lived in the voices of dreamers who dared to see beyond what was given, beyond what was known. Her eternal victory was not only survival, but the growth of knowledge that no shadow could restrain. Even when silence fell over temples and statues weathered, her story grew louder within human hearts. Athena's presence was not a command, but an invitation, a reminder of the strength hidden within all. Her olive tree stood in Athens, but its branches reached far, touching every land with unseen grace. It reminded humanity that peace was not weakness, but the highest form of strength and wisdom. Generations would pass beneath its shade, finding hope, comfort, and courage in its enduring roots. Athena smiled unseen at the child who questioned, at the student who sought, at the leader who listened. Her gift was the eternal spark of thought, the refusal to surrender to despair or ignorance. The goddess of wisdom became a bridge between past and future, between divine and mortal. Her eternal victory lay not in conquest, but in harmony, in the shaping of brighter paths. Mortals honored her not by rituals alone, but by living lives shaped by fairness and clarity. The artist who painted truth, the poet who wrote justice, the teacher who spread knowledge, these were her priests. The city that bore her name became more than stone. It became a beacon of her ideals. Athens thrived not only because of walls or armies, but because of the goddess in its heart. Her story was proof that strength without wisdom falters, but wisdom endures even when strength fades. Through time, kings fell, empires vanished, and towers crumbled, but Athena's light never dimmed. She lived in every moment when wisdom guided the hand instead of fear or pride. She lived in every breath of freedom, in every word spoken with truth, in every act of grace. And so her eternal victory is not a myth of the past, but a living truth of today. For as long as mortals seek knowledge, her spirit walks beside them, steady and eternal. Athena remains the flame that cannot be extinguished, the voice that cannot be silenced. Her story is not finished, for wisdom has no end and justice has no final chapter. The eternal victory goddess still watches, still whispers, still inspires in ways unseen yet felt. And every choice made in kindness, fairness, and courage becomes another verse in her living song. Thus, Athena, goddess of wisdom and victory, continues her journey across eternity without end. The tale of Athena, the eternal victory goddess, does not close with silence, but with continuity. Her presence lingers beyond marble halls, beyond myths carved in stone, into the living breath of humanity. Every story told of her is not a conclusion, but a reminder that wisdom has no ending. Athena's victory is not a crown of gold, but the enduring courage of those who seek truth. Her wisdom is not locked in temples, but alive in choices made in kitchens, classrooms, and courts. She lives in every mortal who dares to rise above fear, to listen, to learn, to guide. The olive tree she planted is more than roots in soil. It is a promise etched into time, a promise that peace and justice will endure as long as people believe in their light. Athena is eternal because she belongs to no single age, but to every generation that seeks her. She is the goddess who whispers gently, never demanding, but always reminding of strength within. Her greatest gift is not power over mortals, but inspiration for them to wield their own. The child who dreams of fairness, the artist who paints hope, the leader who chooses kindness. Each one carries her spirit forward. Each one becomes part of her unending story. Athena does not walk in shadows of the past. She walks in footsteps of the present. In every act of justice, her shield gleams. In every word of truth, her wisdom speaks. In every moment of peace, chosen over strife, her olive branch shines eternal. Her tale is not bound by Greece, nor by time, nor by the limits of belief. It stretches across cultures, across hearts, across the endless expanse of human aspiration. For wisdom belongs to all, and where wisdom lives, Athena lives also. The eternal victory goddess remains as a guide, a companion, a flame within the human soul. She proves that victory is not destruction, but the quiet endurance of light in darkness. She proves that immortality is not stone, but memory, choice, and legacy carried forward. And so, as this story reaches its gentle close, her voice still lingers softly, not as an echo fading, but as a song that continues with every heartbeat. Athena's eternal victory is alive in the present, shaping tomorrow with each passing choice. Her temple is the mind that questions. Her altar is the heart that hopes. Her eternal worship is not ritual, but action, kindness, fairness, learning, and truth. Thus, the story of Athena is not a myth finished, but a promise ongoing. A promise that wisdom will always rise, that justice will always return, that light will never die. Athena, goddess of wisdom and eternal victory, remains with us still. And as long as humanity dreams of a brighter path, her journey will never end.